So in this video, I wanted to do a comparison of two popular fans. On the left, we have a Vornado 660. This is pretty much one of their most popular models, is a large air circulator. It sits on the floor. It is what they call a circulator, which is something that is meant to blow air around the room. So it has a lot of power, and in this case, it's the large size. On the right, we have the Vornado 783 DC. It's also a circulator type fan. It's also in the large size, and large just means like Vornado has fans that are in small, medium, and large blade diameters. And this one is a pedestal type fan, which means it comes on a stand. And you could see right here, it's an adjustable height metal stand that will give the fan some elevation, and you could put it freestanding in a room and still blow air across, say, a tabletop or something like that. The 660 is about a $100 fan, and we're talking street prices here. The 783 DC is more like a $180 fan, maybe a $200 fan, depending on where you buy it and seasonality and stuff like that. So just on the design-wise, this is the new version 660. That fan has been around for a very long time. It's more sleek than it used to be, and you can see it's somewhat angular. Has a nice angular design here. In this case, it's sold in white. It's also sold in black. The 660 is also sold in an Alexa model called the 660AE. This is not that. The 783 DC is that sort of newer angular design. It has more of a distinctive two-piece cowl here. It's stepped from here to here, whereas this one is angular, and it is also sold in this sort of off-white and black. You can see the 660 is a gloss. The 783 DC is more of a matte plastic. Obviously, the 783 DC has a stand. If you don't want it on the stand, Vornado does sell the 723, which is this fan, but with a sort of this stand piece. Puts it right on the ground, right about at the same height as the 660. One of the downsides to the 783, besides the price, is that it actually uses a long power cord with a power block, sort of like you would see on a laptop. So that means some of the circuitry was taken out of the fan and put into this block here. It's not a huge deal, but it is something to keep in mind. It also means that the 783 DC has a plug that comes out, whereas the 660 has a fixed plug. That's not normally a problem, except this connector is quite loose and it does fall out from time to time. Unfortunately, Vornado put this vertically kind of hanging down, so it's inclined to fall out. And it's a pretty good sized design flaw on a pretty expensive fan. So I would keep that in mind. It's not been a huge problem, but as this piece wears out, it's gonna be falling out more and it's gonna be an issue. Looking at the backs of the fans, we could see another major difference. And while they're both adjustable, this one turns on this piece of metal. This one just spins around an axis on this tube. The big difference is that the 783 DC is a variable speed fan. That's a premium feature for Vornado. And what it means is that the fan has kind of a rheostat here, and it will work at any speed between max and min. So there's essentially as many points as you'd like. So you could really get the fan speed you want. This is a power saving feature, and it also means the fan is quieter than it otherwise would be. Vornado calls it the DC. Anytime you see DC, that means it has this rheostat, and it's something Vornado ends up charging a fair bit for. The 660 is not sold in a DC model, so there's no 660 DC. This is a 4-speed fan. You have your on-off button here. Then you have 1, which is low, 2, 3, and 4. So you're operating at speeds that are set by Vornado. The low is not as low as it could go on a DC model, where this thing is spinning very slowly. And it is low, and the 660 is quiet, But just look at the difference between the two. This one, you could see a little bit of chop to the blade. This one, you could noticeably see the blade spinning. It's a good deal lower on the 783 DC. Another major difference is that even though they're both categorized as large, which is Vornado's most premium, most expensive, and most desirable set of fans, given size constraints, of course, the 660 has a 10.4 inch blade, whereas the 783 DC uses an 11.25 inch blade. Basically, as the fan blade diameter goes up, it could spin slower and move the same amount of air or more air. So a larger blade fan will have quieter operation, just pretty much by definition, because it can move the same amount of air as measured by CFM with less rotations. And that rotation is what creates the noise. So a larger fan means slower spinning, which means less noise. So the 783 not only has the rheostat, which makes it spin more slowly, but it has the larger blade. So it's a quieter fan. And I don't just mean that kind of like on paper, it is a quieter fan in practice. I've had both of these for well over a year. Okay, so if you're in the market for a premium fan, I really like Vornado. These are their US made models. Both of them have long warranties. I actually had to use the warranty on my 660 because I have had one of those blow up. I worked with Vornado, and even though it was maybe 3 or 4 years old, they did send me a new one under warranty, and they respected that. They made the process very easy. So I like Vornado as a company. I've had a good experience with them before. And again, I have both fans. I like both of them. The 660 is really nice because you could get it under $100 on sale, but I really, really prefer having the rheostat and the sort of unlimited or the variable fan speeds. That makes a big difference to me. Aesthetically, I think the stand on the 783 DC, as well as that, the non-stand model, which is called the 723, I find that stand to be quite ugly, and I've gotten a few complaints. Aesthetically, I think the 660 is the nicer looking fan. I don't mind the gloss. I think the gloss makes it look cleaner, and it definitely cleans up more easily. So price-wise, 660. Aesthetics, 660. Actual as a cooling device and something that I want to run all the time and kind of have in every room of my house, I would take the 783 DC because it's larger, it's quieter, and it has that rheostat, so it works out really well. Plus, it having the extra height, I think is useful for me, and it just makes it easier to aim at a desk or something like that. It's not a huge deal. I wouldn't go crazy getting a pedestal mount fan like the 783 DC just in order to, make it a little bit more convenient for you. It's not that hard finding a place to put a fan. You could put on a desk or anything like that. As long as it tilts, then you put it on the floor and you can aim it at you if you're sitting someplace. That's not really an issue. As far as a circulator goes, usually a circulator fan you want to hide in the corner of a room or next to a window, and you want it to blow. In that case, I prefer the 660. You could put it in a windowsill, have it sit there and blow cool air from outside around your room. And that's essentially almost as good as air conditioning given some conditions. So between the two, I would tend to recommend just getting the 660. You're getting all the power you need, and it's quite quiet on setting 1. The 783 is more for like a fan enthusiast or someone that's really trying to avoid getting an air conditioner where you need some kind of advanced fan-based cooling. But I think it's probably going to be overkill for almost everyone, and that $180+ price tag means it's a pretty hard thing to do when the 660 is there, and you can get a 660 on sale for like $85 if it's a prime day, and normally you can get it for about $100. So that's my comparison of the Vornado 660 and the Vornado 783 DC. Both great fans, but I think most people will be happier with the 660. Thanks for watching.